غرباء ولغير الله لا نحمي الجبال غرباء وارتضينا.
Before we continue on, let us look at some characteristics of this da'wah. What are some of the unique characteristics of da'wah? You know how I mentioned to you this planet was corruption in tawheed and aqidah, which is the core. This is the core of your belief. There was corruption in attitude. As soon as they took over land, they eliminate the shirk, and that land that they take over becomes one of the most peaceful lands on this planet. Okay, what did he do? The first thing that Muhammad ibn AbdulVehabi, keep these characteristics in mind. These are characteristics that will revive. This is what Muhammad ibn AbdulVehabi put in between his eyes. These are practical things, sympathetic things. We could talk a lot about that, but let us talk about practical things. The first thing he tried to do is to teach people that you don't follow your mind. You follow the Quran and the Sunnah. You follow the Quran and the Sunnah. Why? And how did he do that? If you read his book, his most famous book is Kitab al-Tawheed. He's trying to tell them, come back to the Quran and the Sunnah. His famous book, Kitab al-Tawheed, a unique book, he starts it off, if I'm going to write a book, or anyone's going to write a book, he's going to write an introduction to that book. Anyone would write that. Kitab al-Tawheed doesn't have an introduction. Kitab al-Tawheed, Allah says in the Quran, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونِ, and he goes on. That whole book, Kitab al-Tawheed, he mentions section after section, bab after bab. All he mentions is Quran and Hadith. People, when they look at his books, they see how small they are and how basic they are. They see this guy must have been ignorant. I tell you, Muhammad ibn AbdulVehabi didn't say nothing. If you want to condemn Muhammad ibn AbdulVehabi, don't condemn him. Condemn Ibn Taymiyyah before him. Condemn Ibn Kathir before him. Condemn al-Dhahabi before him. Condemn Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, because these were heroes who were walking on the Prophet ﷺ. Wallahi, he didn't bring nothing new. Muhammad ibn AbdulVehabi mentions a verse in a hadith. If he wants to comment, he'll mention something prior scholars mentioned. That's what he did. He was a reviver. He took the text of the people before and he made it into a reality. Why he became so much famous? Because this was things in the past that was, the flow was going. When you go in you want to swim in the ocean and you go with the current, it's easy to swim. When you're facing the current, it's hard. It takes too much energy. Throughout history, from the time of the Prophet, Muslims didn't fall into this area as much as this time. When Muhammad ibn AbdulVehabi came, he was facing the current in this matter, in this shirk, and the Sufi, in the Bid'ah, and the deviant sects that were at his time. So he was facing the current. That's what made him more popular than prior scholars before that. Also, additional thing to that is he was only 250 years prior to us. The talk didn't still, usually talk takes, a few days. But a hero like this, they still talk about him 250. He's sitting, he's probably dirt in his grave, and he's gaining hasanat from all the talk and backbiting that goes on. So the first thing that Muhammad ibn AbdulVehabi does is he teaches them. Any of his books, you find them so simple. Al-Usul al-Thalatha, very simple. Why? Because this is Aqidah. Aqidah is really simple. He wanted to show the Ummah how simple this Tawheed and this Aqidah is. The core of La ilaha illallah. The basic, the structure. Your skeleton, Aqidah is like your skeleton. It forms you. If it's good, you're going to be good. If that skeleton is bad, it's going to be just like the structure of a house. The foundation of the house. If the foundation is good, you have a nice house. If it's not good, one day it's going to crumble and fall down. This is what he wanted to teach them. You take the Quran and the Sunnah. The mind is not different. The Quran and the Sunnah always go along with the mind. The problem comes when the mind has been tainted and when the mind has been around evil people. If we say one fiqh issue today or one aqidah issue, everyone's going to come up with a resolution to a different resolution. Why? He's been raised in some kind of town. He's seen some mushrikeen. He's seen some innovation. So everyone's going to come. We take the Quran and the Sunnah, and if there's a conflict, if there appears to be a conflict, then that conflict is from our mind, not from the Quran and the Sunnah. The next thing Muhammad ibn AbdulVehabi did that made him so successful is that his da'wah was to the universe. His da'wah wasn't to a classification or not another. Like me, when I give lectures, it's only to youth. It's only and mostly to youth. I rarely would ever, in fact, I wouldn't go to elders. Because, we don't have elders today, but elders are usually stubborn. That's how I feel, and that's the truth. And that's what you see in history. When Allah talks about Musa alayhi salam, He says, وَمَا آمَنَ لِمُوسَى إِلَّا ذُرِّيَّةٌ. Except a small group of people believed in Musa. Who are these small group who believed in Musa? The small group who believed in Musa, Ibn Kathir says, were the youth. Did Musa not give da'wah to all the people of his time? Of course, Musa gave da'wah to all people of his time. However, who's the one who's accepting? The youth. Always. It's always that. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are elder, who are born into something, and they change. But it's hard. Usually it's the youth. The youth think. Then they go and ask, and they go and figure out, and then they come back. This is the truth. That's why you find that. That's why you find the Surah Al-Kahf, the people in Surah Al-Kahf who were in the cave, who Allah changed the sun for them. The sun changed its movement for those people in the cave. The surah you know about. Who were they? They were youth. They were youth who, there was a day of celebration in their time, back thousands of years ago. There was a day of celebration where they worshiped statues, and the youth said, no. They're rebellious. We don't worship statues. So as they're going in a line, and the leader forces them to go, they snuck out, one after the other. And it was youth. And they gathered there, and that's how Allah has their story in the Quran, where He used to move them. If you look at them, it's as though they were sleeping. Allah, in honor to them, actually, to show you the honor, a dog that was with them, Allah mentions it in the Quran. Look how much Allah honors them. A dog that was with them, He's mentioned in the Quran. Not only are they honored, even a dog that was with them. These were the youth. You also know the story of that 13-year-old boy, the one prior to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, after Isa and prior to the Prophet, who stood against the world. The one, قُتِلَ أَصْحَابُ الْأُخْدُودِ, the one who the leader, the king of the time, built a trench and burned everyone. He said, we want to kill you. After he was on Tawheed, and he was firm on Tawheed, that young boy. It's a long story. The gist of it, they tried to kill him by throwing him off a mountain. The people wanted to kill him, fell down, and he came back. He came back to the king. He's on a mission. The second one, they tried to kill him when he's in a ship. They take him, the leader says, take him in a ship. When you get in the middle, throw him out of the ship. Throw him out. They fall out and he comes back. Second time, this was a man on a mission. He says, you're never going to kill me. You're never going to kill me unless you do what I tell you. And that is to gather everyone and take an arrow out of my back and shoot me in between my eyes and say, in the name of the Lord of the young boy. And he did that. As soon as he said that, everyone said, Ashhadu an la ilaha, young boy, teenager, free teenager, 12 or 13 years old. قُتِلَ أَصْحَابُ الْأُخْدُودِ النَّارِ ذَاتِ الْوَقُودِ إِذْ هُمْ عَلَيْهَا. That's one of the times that Allah made an infant speak when she was hesitant to jump in the fire, and the infant was in her hand. She told her, Mother, jump, you're on the truth. And she did jump in that fire, and that's what Allah mentions it in the Quran. Young boy, revive the whole ummah.